Welcome to another episode of Mission Improbable. I'm Lewis Glover from Fantasy Football Down Under and the Vault Studio, and I'm joined, as always, by the boys from Sideline Spice, Ryan and Luca. How are we, gents?
Good, Lewis, as always, and yourself?
Can't complain.
Yeah, doing well. I'm excited for the Monday game, Ravens-Chiefs at Arrowhead. So I'm going to be getting to bed at 9:30 prime possum time, so I can wake up in the dead of the night to hopefully not be disappointed.
Yeah, that's my plan. That's my schedule every week for the NFL season. I'm a degenerate. I have to get up and watch the games. But 3 a.m., it's hard to do at times. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
You do.
The last 2 weeks, it wasn't even deliberate. I just needed to go to the bathroom at 3, and I looked at my watch and saw the Ravens are on, and I was like, well, I'm up. So
I'm up. May as well. Well, guys, we had a better week last week after an absolute train wreck in week one. We said we needed to get back on track, and we did. I hit on Larry Fitzgerald's over. Ryan, how did you go?
I hit on John Brown receptions and receiving yards over.
Nice.
And that's all we've got to discuss about last week. Moving straight on and not mentioning Jamison Crowder falling a few yards short of the over because that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. It was an absolute disaster for the Jets offensively.
It was very sad. As soon as I saw Semien getting rocked and then Semien get hurt, I was like, this is doomed. And Crowder almost brought it back in the fourth quarter. But it's clear that Sam Darnold has much more of a beautiful relationship with Crowder than either of the backups do. And that's on me.
Maybe that's where he got his mono from, his beautiful relationship with Jamison Crowder.
Crowder must be immune. He hasn't sat out or been sick yet. So, I mean...
Well, he was just carrying it. He got it when he was a younger lad.
Yeah.
He's been in the NFL a while. He's seasoned. He's had that money to throw around and party with.
I mean, he's been on road games to Houston and stuff. So, I mean, they get wild down south.
So that must put us at what, 3-7 total now?
That's not
nearly
good.
Back to 500.
Wait, Greens, did you go 3 bets in the first week? Because I wasn't there in the first week.
Remember? Yeah, we went 0 for 3.
Because you went on a double.
And then 3 for... I love a double. So 3 for 7. We're almost there. We're almost back.
Live and die by the Leonard.
Oh, that's it. But yeah, you're right. We're nearly back to 500. Hopefully we can get there with a good week, a strong 3 for 3 week. I like what we've come up with. So we may as well dive right into it. Luca, what you got?
All right. So to put us back to 500 for the season, everybody's favorite choke artist, but he's not going to be choking for me. Matt Ryan passing over 302.5 yards. So I think they're playing. Is it in Indianapolis they're playing this week?
They are. So on the road, but still in a dome.
Yeah, on the road, but still in a dome, which Matty Ice excels in that kind of arena. This year, he's looked fire. I mean, he's blown past 300 yards against the Eagles and the Vikings, both of which have defenses that are projected to be top half of the league kind of thing. Indianapolis don't have a bad defense on paper. I mean, they're much improved last year. But, some of their key contributors, I mean, Darius Leonard didn't practice. Jabbar Sheard and Pierre, is it Desire? Desire? No, Desire, that's right, because he doesn't have an E on the end. No, he doesn't have an accent, Ryan. Don't be silly. So they're all banged up. So it's a defense that's looking a bit weak. And while they shut Marcus Mariota down, Marcus Mariota is not an NFL-level quarterback.
Well, he comes pre-shut down when he steps onto the field.
Marcus Mariota shuts Marcus Mariota down.
Excuse me, didn't he pass for 300 yards on Friday?
Yeah, but it's such an ugly 300. It's like Cam Newton's 300 yards from the week before.
Yeah, that 300 Cam Newton's 300 yards was the worst 300 yards I've ever seen, and I still don't know how he got there.
Well, it was for me as well, but I saw Mariota's now, so they're pretty neck and neck. It's the 2 worst 300-yard performances I've seen. I mean, he got sacked 9 times, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. Phillip Rivers is a very similar type of quarterback to Matty Ice, just with less weapons. And Rivers, albeit with an overtime benefit of overtime, Rivers actually exceeded the 300-yard passing mark against the Colts in week 1. And this was a much healthier Colts team, mind you. So, Julio Jones has started to find his stride. Ridley's been balling out in his second year. Colts are very vulnerable against the dump off to running backs. So Freeman is looking like he'll finally make a dent in the passing game. I think that over 302.5 yards is a pretty safe bet for Matt Ryan.
I dig it.
Ryan?
Love Julio, man. I love Julio. He will catch anything you throw at him.
Including mono. Keep him away from Sam Darnold.
Yeah, all right. So, me. I'm going back to the well that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Nice.
Not Jameis Winston, no. Never again. But this time, Chris Godwin is my choice for this week.
I think it's pronounced. I think it's pronounced Chris Goatwin.
So yeah, my bad there. Especially in Tampa Bay these days. Sorry, Mike Evans. More on that later. So 75 and a half receiving yards for Chris Godwin at $1.88 at BetEasy. Or you can go 77 and a half for $1.98 at Sportsbet, which is also good value if you back those extra 2 yards. Either way, I think he's going to get there. So on to the Mike Evans conversation. Godwin has actually outproduced Evans to start this year in both receptions, targets, and receiving yards in both week 1 and week 2. And he enters week 3 with better odds and a lower target than Mike Evans. So Mike Evans is up around 80, I think it is.
88 yards.
Yeah, 88. So a full 10 yards. Through the 2 weeks, Godwin has out-targeted Evans 25 to 23. So, yes, it is pretty close. But it if anything, it shows that those receptions are going to be there for Godwin. He's actually got a more favorable matchup this week against the Giants secondary, which we've seen to be porous throughout the first 2 games of the season. So we already spoke about Janoris Jenkins when we were talking about the Bills last week. He's projected to cover Evans, and he's clearly their best receiver, with Godwin likely to match up with DeAndre Baker, their rookie. Baker is allowed over 5 yards per route in his coverage this year. I think he's got something like a 24 out of 100 passing grade on PFF so far through the first 2 weeks. And
that's not good. If anyone was wondering, that's not good.
Yeah, it's quite awful. Yeah, but then, Evans as well has a 7-inch height advantage over Jenkins. So I think when you put that into context, Vegas has given this game a 47.5 over, so they're expecting a relatively high scoring sort of game. So even with both receivers up around that sort of 165 total between them, I fully expect both to get there. But just with the way that I expect Bruce Arians to sort of exploit the weaknesses in this Giants secondary, Godwin seems primed to go to work in the slot against the Giants on Sunday. Keep in mind, Cole Beasley got 83 yards.
I was just about to mention that.
Yeah, and he's got someone named Josh Allen launching bombs in some general sort of vicinity of the field to be caught. And Randall Cobb also got 69 yards in week 1 in the same position. So Chris Godwin is clearly a better receiver than both of those guys. Jameis Winston, I'm not going to say he's a better quarterback, but he's a good thrower of the ball to Chris Godwin, it seems, through 2 weeks. So I think all that considered, this should be a relatively safe over for Chris Godwin.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I love the entire Tampa Bay offense this week. I'm big on Mike Evans. I don't mind his over at 88 yards either. He's not my absolute smash spot for the week, but he gets Janoris Jenkins, who he's just gonna torch. As you said, Godwin has been the de facto wide receiver 1 there. I expect that to change this week. Evans was ill in week 1 and then had a really tough shadow coverage matchup with Bradbury in week 2. And I like Winston to continue his upwards trajectory and form after a horrible week 1. So all good things for the Tampa Bay offense. You also like OJ Howard to sort of actually get in the box score this week against the Giants, who have just been woeful against defending the tight ends for seemingly forever now. It's an old trope in fantasy football, just start tight ends against the Giants, and it's for a reason, because they always seem to find the end zone. Now that could be Cameron Brate, or it could be OJ Howard, but either way, I like the whole Tampa Bay offense to go and get the job done against the New York Giants.
It could very well be another 300-yard plus passing game for Jameis Winston. So those yards have to come out of somewhere.
Yep.
Even if you've got Evans and Godwin making up 165.
I don't trust OJ Howard though. Winston didn't even look his way.
No.
That
benefits us, because Winston,
it does.
You're right. He does have a tendency to sort of stare down his main guys, and if that's Evans and Godwin, all the better for us.
Yeah, but yeah, like you said, you took my points away from me. Cole Beasley. If you had to put a face for a Jag, like a Jag poster boy, Cole Beasley would be it. His athleticism is literally 50th percentile. He just looks like your average dude off the street, and he plays like it too. So for him to go over that number against the Giants, like nickelbacks, yeah, I think Godwin's a slam dunk.
Yeah, I love it. Here's a nice little number for you guys. The Giants' defense has allowed 9.9 net yards per pass attempt this season. Only the Dolphins with 11.1 have been worse. So definitely one of the worst passing defenses in the league. In DFS, this is a great stack as well. I love a Winston, Evans, Godwin stack, and then maybe running it back with Saquon Barkley and Evan Ingram coming the other way. Get a nice little game stack going there. But yeah, Chris Godwin, love that. Hammer it home.
Don't you love it? Mission Improbable, bringing in your DFS dailies as well.
We got everything. We got everything here.
Bring us home, Lewis.
All right, I am going. I got bailed out last week by one old man, and I'm going straight to another. Old man Greg Olson. He's my guy this week. His smash spot is looking very nice against the Arizona Cardinals. And his line, I had it in my head. I think it's 47.5 yards, but I'll just confirm that, because we want it for the sake of accuracy here. What do we got? Greg Olson. It is 45.5 yards at $1.88 on Sportsbet. And the Arizona Cardinals are as I said, it was start tight ends against the Giants for the last few years. It's now the Cardinals, because they, after 2 weeks, have been absolutely atrocious to the tight end position. They let TJ Hawkinson, a rookie in his first ever game, get 9 targets, 6 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown. And then that continued into week 2 when they ran into the Baltimore Ravens. And Mark Andrews, similar stat line. He had 9 targets, 8 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. They've given up the most yards to the position. And not only are they giving up the yards to the position, Greg Olson has been involved in the offense as well. In the first 2 games of the year, despite Cam Newton being, how can I put this nicely, questionable at best with his passing. And to be honest, the way he's been playing, I don't think starting Kyle Allen is much of a downgrade. That's how bad Cam has been. But Greg Olson in the first 2 weeks has 18 targets, 10 catches for 146 yards. Hasn't got a touchdown yet. Doesn't really matter for our purposes, but he's averaging 73 receiving yards a game. Line sets at 45.5 against the worst tight end defense in football. The only thing that could slow him down would be an injury. So it seems like a real smash spot for Greg Olson this week.
I would be careful of speaking about that injury, because he is questionable for week 3 due to back injury.
He's old. He gets days off. He's one of those veteran rest days.
Look, he's expected to play through it, but I mean, it's just something to.
I think Brady missed practice on Wednesday as well for a calf injury, but I don't think anyone's questioning whether he's going to suit up tonight.
But when has Brady ever even used his calf?
Excuse me, dancing around inside the pocket requires some serious calf action.
Yeah, that 3-step drop takes a lot of energy out of you.
I think you'll find that man's a career 1,000-yard rusher. Have some respect.
Did he make the 1,000-yard in the end? I think it's just under, isn't he?
No, he's made it. He's made it. And put some respect on the greatest 4th and 1 QB sneaker in history.
You know what though? If you guys keep blowing teams out and he keeps kneeling down, he's going to creep right back under that 1,000 yards. So
yeah,
watch out.
Actually, it's a good point. We should get not Danny Etling. What's it? Jared Stidham. Get Stidham on for the kneel downs and preserve Tom's rushing.
Preserve football's best record. But no, in terms of like, I never thought I'd say this, but Kyle Allen could actually be an upgrade for Greg Olson. I think through the first 2 weeks, only the Dolphins and the Bears had a higher percentage of uncatchable passes thrown than what Cam Newton dished up. Olson saw a lot of volume and targets, and he's had some good numbers this season, but his numbers could have been even better if Cam Newton was even a shell of his former self. And I mean, look, Kyle Allen's not a stud, but he played pretty well last season in his start. And 40 something is such a low number against that Cardinals defense. Like, I watched the Ravens game live, and Mark Andrews is like, he probably could have had a much bigger line, but Lamar missed him on a couple of throws. So I mean, a savvy veteran like Olson's probably going to tear that secondary to shreds.
Yeah, it's
love it.
I'm really, really high on Olson this week. So that's it, fellas.
Good,
I feel good about these ones.
I feel good. 6 and 10. Here we come.
Show me the money.
I feel nervous because I'm not on the board yet for this year. I'm a disappointing 0 for 1. So once I get that first one out of the way, like you boys have, I'll start feeling a little bit better about myself.
Amazing. All right, fellas. Let's leave it there, and we'll check in next week and see how we went. Good luck.
Rest up and good luck, everyone, tonight.
Yeah, good luck with your games, boys.
See ya.